This is officially God Talk, Michael Mack's show, which I'm usually on. And Michael likes to explore faith, God, the meaning of life, love, reality. And we're exploring reality, though, today, I think, in our own intimate way.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was saying, holding Beth's shoulder, I'm not sure I can feel it now. Maybe beginning to, yes, things are solid and also not. I mean, what is touch, for example? Just touch itself. It's not just, so much is going on when I feel you touching me. Touch is funny. It's, you're touching my finger, but the experience of the touch is almost like a smell. It's like a diffuse feeling. So that's maybe a little, if I was writing it after being influenced by you, I would say that. But I'm going to, no, why don't you read it? I read it last.
Do you want me to read it again? Because I read it first.
Yes, I want you to read it again, but
okay.
Yes, I think I first want to do this other poem.
Oh, all right. Let's do it.
And you can read that one now.
This one now?
Yeah.
Okay. Rumi, as in R-O-O-M-Y, not R-U-M-I. While lying on a branch to rest, your massage of my head and chest frees me to see I'm also a tree. Here, thee who bless with room to spare, till all around, rooted in ground, I may be without losing me. You know, when I read your poems alone, sometimes from the previous book, Verse to Better.
Yeah, the new version is coming out.
I find myself, sometimes I remember the first few times I was reading some pieces from that book and realizing that it's going to take me a few times of reading this over to really let this sink in, to really process this somehow, because sometimes I just couldn't. On the first reading, it just wouldn't happen.
Well, thank you.
And as I got, read more and more things in it, and I wasn't just reading it from cover to cover. I was skipping around and just discovering these lovely little desserts of deliciousness. and eventually I started to get a sense of there's something about rhythm in the way that you write what you write, that I began to understand how the rhythms were leading me to whatever the meanings were behind the words. And there was definitely something about your rhythm that is critical to the way that what you're communicating, it seems.
Well, thanks for telling me. I never knew this. But
well, that's how it seems to me. Anyway, that was,
thank you.
But it took reading, reading a bunch of them, and often reading something 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 or 6 times.
Wow, the ideal reader.
Really know,
wow.
what is he saying?
What is he saying?
What is this saying? Yeah. And whenever, especially after having to mine it for a while, and getting something, or thinking I was getting something, getting some meaning, connecting with you, having some sort of a kind of a like a, what's the word I want? A connection, and in it, like a long distance intimate connection with you through your writing,
Wow.
and really getting into it and understanding it, that was very satisfying.
But I'm gonna cry.
It was very satisfying.
Wow, I didn't expect this.
Hmm.
I'm gonna read it again.
Do that. Okay.
This actually happened. I just talked to my friend who was the massager, and you've been a masseuse, yes?
Mm-hmm. I have.
This happened in Vermont. Rumi. I could be even sitting in a chair, but then it was on a branch. While lying on a branch to rest, your massage of my head and chest frees me to see I'm also tree, air, thee, who bless, with room to spare, till all around, rooted in ground, I may be, without losing me. I don't know if that's clear to me, of course it is, but
No, after hearing you say it, I think between reading it myself and then hearing you put the emphasis, there's places where you put emphasis
yeah,
that helps me to like keep, it helps me to keep track of where the thought is going,
yeah,
how
Right.
the things connect. And I think that I was saying before, I was saying it was rhythm, but I think it's that, but it's also like where you're placing emphasis with your tone of your voice.
wow,
And
thank you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So this is closer in my mind, at least, to what you were saying about being intimate with what's around, and connects with the first poem when Buddha says, first a chair is a chair, that we can, I don't know if you've experienced this in meditation, I think I can experience it now, period. I place so much emphasis on words in my life to structure chaos with rules and words. And now at this advanced age, I don't need it as much I can experience what's the moon, what's behind the words. And therefore, I myself, solid as I am, of course scientists say we're made of mostly space. And I don't know if you can feel that in your meditation. I can feel that, oh my.
Physically, like a physical sensation?
Yes, I feel that I'm both solid, I can hold your hand, it's solid, and if I really hold it maybe even a little more lightly, oh my Lord, it's both solid and it's really like the smell of the lily. It is, your hand is also intangible. And in some ways, the more tangible it is, the more I get it, even squeezing it. I mean, if I really pay attention to what this experience is, it's wafts like the smell of the lily, really. It's both located in a particular place and spreads. And so the poet here says that when he's being massaged, lying on a branch, he knows he's on the branch, but he also can be intimate, your word, and be the tree and the ground and everything that's around, which is very, very close to what you were saying. The walls, including the walls of language, have, I'm sure something must happen if you're alone in a cabin in the woods for a week and not talking to anybody.
Yes.
You must get beyond language there, I would imagine.
Well, I didn't really read anything except
Also,
I had one book that I brought with me, which was a book by the founder of the school of Zen that I'm part of, Zen Master Sungsan, and it's called the Compass of Zen. And I would read passages from that every now and then, but generally speaking, I just really did not bother to read anything unless I felt really drawn to it. And I am one heck of a reading freak. I'll read anything to lock myself away, not lock, but like to take myself away and be alone without any form of communication whatsoever, except for, I was like about a half a mile walk away from a house, the owners of the little cabin I was staying in. But to remove myself like that and not to touch a book except for that one book every now and then it definitely, your mind wants to entertain itself, and I would entertain myself by going outside and walking around in the snow and trying not to go sliding down this ravine and into this river, this little brook that was down at the bottom of this. And I'd find like areas where the snow wasn't so deep, and I was discovering rocks and moss and stuff and dead leaves and that kind of thing. And just getting up at 3:30 in the morning when it was February, really cold, and then noticing how as the sun would get a little high, it doesn't get very high in the sky at that point, but just noticing how the temperature change would soften the snow that was around from being crusty to soft and perfect snowball snow.
Yeah.
Packed, kind of just some sort of wet enough to pack together. And I throw snowballs around. Or remember rolling up a big, taking a snowball at the size of my fist and then rolling it up in the snow until it was something that was 2.5 feet high and make a snowman out of it.
Just for yourself.
Yeah, just for myself. It's just something, and I was finding, I didn't need to have distractions. I could just completely be with what was around me without, when I was snowshoeing around and stuff, when I was taking breaks, in between sitting periods, or just, I'd have a little period at the end of my morning practice. I'd cook for myself. You have to do everything for yourself. It was like being on a retreat that way solo is it's really different from doing a retreat together with a lot of other people, because in that situation, in the situation with other people, you have people who are cooking for you, and they're preparing stuff for you so that you can just keep doing your practice. But on solo retreat, you do everything for yourself. You take care of all of your own needs for food and everything else and cleaning up, and and then you go and do more practice and more chanting and more sitting and more prostrations, and maybe it's just very it's a very kind of cleansing experience. And I'll tell you one thing, though, that I didn't mention to you before. On that retreat, I had feelings that came up. I had gone through a very difficult experience in my life a few years before that, and all of these feelings that came up that were very painful, things that I really needed to feel and that I really needed to deal with. And I remember just going outside, and I knew that nobody around was going to hear me, and I was crying my eyes out. I was screaming a few times, just screaming, really, trying to get this out. And once I did some of that, and I realized how powerful these feelings were that I had, that I hadn't really dealt with, it's okay, I'm not going to touch this. And then it was there I was, being intimate with everything, also being intimate with my own feelings on my own, just myself. It was just these things welled up, and I could see how I kind of needed to take care of that stuff. And I think of all the things that happened to me during that retreat, that was one of the most powerful things that happened for me. And also another thing that we sort of have been alluding to as during this conversation together, that experience of intimacy with just being where I was, just being in this cabin alone in the wintertime with the wood stove and having to split little pieces of wood so I would have like firewood to burn up, and you know, all these experiences of just this complete intimacy with where I was, what I was doing, and just not judging any of it, just taking it exactly the way it is, experiencing it, and then moving on to the next thing, you know? That's really, I think that probably is like the best way I can think of to say what this intimacy really is. It's just taking things the way they are and not grasping onto them and not trying to push them away, just like, because they're going to come and they're going to go on their own. And until you actually give yourself a chance to like see what that really means by letting yourself do it, like you don't get it. You think you have to hold on to things, or they have to push them away, and we're always doing that anyway. Like, you get something you really want. Oh, I love this. I love this blanket so much. I've wanted this for
love
years.
love you,
And then,
love you,
and then
love
like 2 weeks later, I've had enough of that. I think I'm going to give that to Goodwill now.
Well, this is wonderful. I hope you're all surprised listening to this. We still have 10 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
But that was a wonderful invitation if people want to do solo meditation. You were under the guidance of someone, I imagine?
Oh, yeah, well, the teacher, one of my teachers, I have a few different people that I look to for different, you know, to talk about different things. But when I was thinking about doing this, for like about a month or so before I was going to do it, I started to have this talk with this teacher whose name is Zen Master Bunhang. And I said, you know, I'm thinking I want to do a solo retreat. What do I do? You know, because I didn't really know. I'd heard other people talk about doing solo retreats, but I never really got a chance or took the opportunity to ask in more detail, what are you doing when you do that?
I think I did one today. You were the first person I saw today. Well, I do reading and writing, but it's going to make it much better when I don't see anybody for a day.
Mm-hmm.
To say, oh, I'm doing those words can help then. Oh, I'm doing a solo retreat. I remember when I discovered I was feeling lonely. Today too, actually, for one of my dear friends is involved in someone else, and I could feel, as Joshua Jesus said, "Blessed are they who yearn, for they shall be comforted." And that was very nice to feel too. That sadness was okay. A lonely, and especially to give it a word. There's where words could be helpful.
Mm.
When I give it a word, it's the opposite of what I've been saying, so it might also be true. When I can say, oh my, I'm mourning. I'm lonely and I'm mourning.
Mm.
And how good that is. It's good to mourn someone you've been close with and they're more distant even if I love them. And so that's very helpful to have the right word then. So helpful. There's something called focusing where we're invited to, when we're feeling whatever we're feeling, to find out where in our body we feel it and to see if we can give it a handle or a name that fits. And that seems very helpful too. I think I see words as, even to say this, words are one of the flowers on the stem. One of the flowers is lily of the valley, and that's helpful. As long as it doesn't take over, which it did in my life. Those other things you were saying, I can say words, but even the words don't do it justice. Green stem, but it's what it is, as you were saying. But the words that are helpful as maybe one of the attributes. One of the, a smell is another one.
I just love the smell of them.
Yes, one of the flowers of this is the word lily of the valley. But there's many other flowers on this stem. Well, I have smaller poems if you want.
Okay.
But I love what you're saying.
You hand me one.
Okay,
I'll read whatever you hand me.
Oh no, I have this is what I want to do. Okay. We just have time.
Okay.
This is a song.
Song?
This is a song
Oh.
I wrote to my dear, beloved first wife, who lets me talk with her once a year now, which I treasure. She thought of maybe making it more than once a year last March when we talked, and then thought better of it. So this is how maybe I feel now. It's called Airborne, and I think I have time to sing it and then hear what you do with it.
Okay.
Maybe it's true of us now, Airborne. I am here with you now. You are here with me now. I am you. You are me. When that's true, we both see that all nights bring our morns, and we die to be born, loving you, who love me, being true, we are free. Would you mind reading it once, and then maybe
okay.
Time to get time to talk about
Right.
it.
We have what? Sort of a little under 4 minutes or
Yeah.
something. Airborne. I am here with you now, and you are here with me now. I find it difficult to say I am you.
Thank you.
You are me.
Yeah. Well, I mean it in the sense that if I'm mostly, when I'm looking at you, I don't know what I look like. As I'm more Beth now than me in many ways.
You said that before.
Yeah.
You said that same thing before. You know, this makes me think, can I just comment?
Yes,
This
please.
makes me think of something which is, like when I talk with people about meditation and about Buddhist practice, sometimes I'll say something to the effect that, when I'll talk about compassion, and there are different ways that you can talk about that, but this way is to point out that all the feelings that we all have these same feelings. We don't feel them all at the same time. Sometimes we do, but we all have these feelings. And those are ways in which we can connect with each other. If we don't have another way, then we know that sometimes if somebody's crying near us, it makes us want to cry. Or if we hear somebody laughing, it makes us want to laugh. Why is that? It's something about other people's feelings that touches chords within us. And I think that shows us one way in which our humanity is deeply connected. And we can feel compassion for somebody because of that, but also we can feel compassion for somebody because we feel lonely. We can all feel lonely. We all feel separate. And in some way, yes, we are kind of separate, but another way, we are, because of our sense of like aloneness, we all feel that. And so if we need some way to like some relief from that, then all we have to do is stop thinking about me. Stop thinking about me and connect with somebody else. Connect, however that is. Talking with somebody about what your feelings are sometimes can help you with that. Or like letting somebody else talk to you about what they're saying.
Yes, for me today, you're the first person I've seen.
Yeah. So.
Might be the last person. Going back home to my solo retreat.
So I can talk. I think that probably is best. A better way for me to say I am you and you are me. But that is there is so much truth in that.
Well, we have 18 seconds. Want to finish it just as much as you can?
Okay. I am you. You are me. When that's true, we both see that all nights bring our morns and we die to be born. Loving you who love me,